specialize in agriculture. And because of the need to embrace science and technology in the production of our food, hydroponic farming is really the only way that we can be able to do that. And with hydroponic farming, you're talking about growing food at any place as long as there's water, regardless of the climatic conditions. It could be dry, it could be in a building, it could be anywhere that you can grow food. And by doing so, we are able to grow food 24/7, 7 days a week, throughout the year, which means it's able now to even the supply of food is stable for those food crops. The prices also are able to stay stable because we don't have the ups and downs. And therefore, it's a complementary way of growing food that allows for an even supply of food around across the country. Now, the reason why we focus on young people is because they are the majority of our people in the country. And also, agriculture is the linchpin of economic development in this country and in this continent. And if you look at the entire value chain of food production, the number of jobs that are created within that value chain tells us agriculture is the way to go and is the place to invest.
The kind of farming tunafanya hapa inaitwa hydroponics farming. So when we talk about hydroponics basically means growing crops in an aquatic-based environment, or in other words, soilless.
It's possible to do farming without use of soil, and even this hydroponic farming is a matter of dedication, and if you have a passion and you are focused towards doing hydroponic farming, definitely you are going to make it.
If you have a small space in your building, you can grow food, and the food is safe because when you're using nutrients that are going directly into water and you eliminate soil, you're eliminating a lot of plant diseases, and therefore you don't use so much of the chemicals that we use in conventional farming. So it is healthy, it is sustainable, and it creates jobs throughout the country, regardless of where you live.
Wow, thank you very much, Professor. Could you come up so that we can be able to have the panel engagement? From that, we've seen that you can grow your own food. Professor, however, I do hope that you'll be able to tell us whether it's affordable for us to do hydroponics, because I guess that's maybe where people will want to be able to understand. So we have with us on the online platform, can I welcome Mr. Joseph? No, Mr. Joseph Kimote from the National Cereals and Produce Board on the online platform. As he's being put on, some of the questions that people would like to be able to know from the panel include: what is the role of ST&I in the agriculture sector growth and transformation? How can we be able to identify and leverage on appropriate agricultural technologies towards building effective and efficient research and development support systems? What role is played by both public and private sector in supporting the implementation of new agriculture technologies? Where is the missing link in adoption of agricultural technologies? Could you kindly identify the policy gaps that require intervention in the use of ST&I in the agriculture sector? Are there opportunities for further research in the innovations in the agriculture sector? So those are some of the questions which our panelists already had in advance. And I'd like to welcome Mr. Kimote from the National Cereals and Produce Board to be able to give us his view. Do I have sound? To be able to give us his views in the next 4 minutes. Mr. Kimote?
Yeah, thank you very much indeed. And I want to congratulate KIPPRA for putting this great presentation together, or this great workshop. Now, you realize that the food availability in this country has been affected dramatically because of decreasing arable land and also water resources, including other ecological and also agronomic factors. Now, you realize that in terms of the technologies, it is critical from what we have just said to ensure that we minimize food losses by adopting appropriate storage and transport, and also waste of food by retailers and consumers to be minimized. We also seen many smallholder farmers who may lack access to markets, and therefore there is an absolute need to to encourage them to store their grains in facilities so that we minimize on post-harvest activities. And therefore, from the point of technology and also innovation, it is critical to come up with refrigeration sort of mechanisms which are going to utilize low levels of power consumption, and also to ensure that we provide post-harvest technologies for the storage and also management of those products. And in terms of the technology, it is critical to know that we can adopt a few technologies. For example, we have the biofortification, which is a breeding of micronutrients to ensure that indeed we come up with an effective approach of combating malnutrition, especially in developing countries. Now, if you look at our early warning systems in terms of the ecological changes, technology, and also innovation, to develop an early warning system so that indeed we can have a mechanism of ensuring an objective process and analysis of the timely alerts to mitigate on emerging crisis. Due to these challenges, therefore, the government recognizes the need to develop interventions that will enable agriculture to be more resilient to climate change, extreme weather events, at the same time also minimizing the contribution to greenhouse gas emissions. You realize that 98% of Kenya's agriculture is rain-fed and therefore highly susceptible to climate change and also variability. And therefore, in a nutshell, it is critical to ensure that to enhance food security, we need to come up with very innovative mechanisms in terms of provision of raw materials for the agro industries so that we can create sustainable employment opportunities and also generate income and foreign exchange earnings. Now, development of innovative food systems, again, is a fundamental aspect. And in this regard, therefore, we need to ensure that we define the research agenda, and the government is working very hard on this matter, particularly focusing on the smallholder farmers, at the same time also investing in human capacity and also infrastructure for food systems. Obviously, the governance in agricultural innovation needs to be mainstreamed to ensure that indeed we have a mechanism on how those matters will be channeled and also incubation of those ideas. And therefore, in a nutshell, therefore, we want to contribute that the food systems in this country need to be designed to support the poor and also the marginalized communities so that they can all have an effective participation in sharing the knowledge and also equipping them with the skills and technologies required to enhance their productivity. I think that is what I have at the moment to respond to some of the issues that have been raised. But as I conclude also, the issue of intellectual properties, also to ensure that we protect and patent the various innovations in the agricultural sector. This goes along for the government institution charged with that responsibility, KIPPRA, also to come in a very big way to support those innovations and to ensure that they are protected from any kind of abuse. So in a nutshell, that is what I can say. I hope my 4 minutes are done, Madam.
Very much, Bwana Kimote. Again, I'll request you also to go to our KIPPRA Conference 2021 hashtag. We're on all social media forums, and also put your links there so that people can be able to interact with you and then be able to ask you more questions about the National Cereals and Produce Board, which is a very important agency in this country. Thank you very much. I'd like to move on now to Madam Helen Moire from KEFIS. Madam Helen will make a short presentation and then be able to respond to one or two of the items that we have in our questions before we welcome our last speaker, Professor Mwenje. Madam Helen.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Helen Moire from KEFIS, and I will take this opportunity to just give a brief on what KEFIS does and the innovations that KEFIS has developed to enhance service delivery, and also what the government is doing through the Ministry of Agriculture in this innovation space and science and technology. So KEFIS is Kenya Plant Health Inspectorate Service. I know many of you will not be able to maybe know about KEFIS as much as the other institutions like KRA, but anybody wishing to export any plant material or import any plant material, including the fruits and vegetables, will have to interact with KEFIS at one point or another. So KEFIS was established in 1996, and we are a regulatory agency. Our role is to ensure the quality of agricultural produce and products, inputs and products. So for this conference and on matters innovation, our role is very key in matters of seed certification. And one of the areas where there has been a lot of innovation in agriculture is improving of the varieties that are available for our farmers. And as we all know, in agriculture, agriculture begins with the seed that you plant. And if the seed that you plant has the potential to give a very robust and very bumper harvest, then you have started on a good note. If you start with any seed that doesn't have capacity, then you will most definitely not get what you wanted. And on this area of seed certification, KEFIS is charged with ensuring that any varieties that come into the country are actually going to be beneficial to the agriculture and to the farmer. So what happens is that we have an opportunity to test the varieties throughout the country to see whether they are suitable for our agroecological zones. So in matters of innovation, we work closely with the agricultural institutions, agriculture research institutions, such as CALRO and the other international research institutions, when they bring in their varieties into Kenya. So we ensure that only those varieties that will be beneficial to our farmers are the ones that will come and will be registered and will be available for farmers. On matters seed also, we ensure that we do seed certification to make sure that when the farmer gets the seed in that packet from the agrovet, they are sure that it has been certified and it is germinating to a certain capacity. So in matters innovation, the government has really taken care of the farmer because through institutions such as KEFIS and the research institutions. So I will go on to the innovations that KEFIS has been involved in. And we have come up with a platform to ensure that the seed certification is seamless. We have now introduced a system on seed certification, which is electronic. All the inspections that we carry out in the field are on the electronic platform. And on the matters of import and export, we have an electronic certification system where it is a web-based system. And at this point, anybody wishing to export has to come to that platform and apply for what we call a plant health certification, a phytosanitary certificate. So on matters of inspection, KEFIS has also innovated in areas of laboratory protocols. And we have come up with protocols that will be able to support the services that we do. But onto the matters that we are discussing at this time, on what is the role of STI in agriculture? Agriculture really
Madam Helen,
yes.
You have 1 minute to wind up, kindly.
Okay. Okay. So the role of STI in agriculture, as we all know, the land that we have is now constant. It is not going to increase. But if we are to increase the productivity, we have to innovate in matters of how we produce the products and the crops. And for us, we see that if we innovate in matters of seed certification, matters of varieties, matters of production under irrigation, then we will be in the right track. And as a government, these are the areas that really we are focusing on. And what is the role that is played by the public and the private sector? The public sector in Kenya, research is really done under Kenya Agriculture KALRO, and there's a lot of innovations that are coming out. And the role of the public sector also in this space is to inform on the various technologies that have come, that have been developed. And we carry out a lot of capacity building and a lot of awareness creations. Many times you will find KALRO or KEFIS has awareness creation for farmers, and this is the role that we play. Apart from the innovations being developed, we also have platforms that we inform the farmers on the different technologies that have come, that have been developed. And for the public sector is also to partner with the government to ensure that the innovations that are out there can come into Kenya, and there are systems that have been put in place on how those technologies can be introduced in a safe way in the country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Helen. I apologize for the time constraints that make, she's got a presentation, which I believe, again, through the KIPPRA will provide a way in which we can be able to get these presentations and learn from them. I particularly was very interested to know what KEFIS is doing because I was once denied an opportunity to be able to import seed for a particular purpose, and the requirements were so stringent, Madam Helen, I was not able to import those seeds. So I'm really curious to know what KEFIS is doing. Now I'd like to welcome our final panelist, Professor Mwenja, to be able to come and make his remarks in the shortest time possible. 4 minutes, Professor Mwenja, kindly, so that we are then able to move the program along. Thank you very much.
Thank you and good morning, everyone. My name is Professor Mwenja. I'm the chairman of Miramar International Foundation and the founder of Miramar International College. The foundation deals primarily with 4 pillars, and one of the pillars that we deal with is agriculture. And part of what we do, we look for innovative ways of improving our agriculture productivity, and especially from the youth in this country. And that is why we have looked at the issue of farming using hydroponic science, aquaponics, and aquaculture. When it comes to farming, we know that the average farmer in this country is almost 58 to 60 years old. So the question we ask ourselves is, if that is indeed the case, where are we going to get the next group of farmers in this country? And that will have to come from the youth. That's why STI is extremely important, where we use science, technology, and innovation to make sure we can teach our people how to grow food in a manner that the young people can enjoy. And what we do is, in terms of hydroponic science, where we can grow food basically anywhere, any place, anytime, as long as there's water. I can grow food on this podium. I can grow food on this floor. I can grow food in a building. I can grow food just about anywhere. And because we use only water to produce food, that science allows us now to build technology around the science to enable us to grow more food per square meter. The science also allows us to grow food that we don't use too much or hardly use the chemicals that we see in the conventional food production, because we use biofungicides and biopesticides that allows us to grow food that is safe. So we are looking at food security, we are looking at food safety, we are looking at production throughout the year, we are looking at price and supply stabilization throughout the year, because you grow food throughout the year, and therefore we don't have those gaps in production that end up increasing the costs and the price of food across the country. And therefore, we look at agriculture as an ecosystem. And being an ecosystem, it means we have to combine all the three, the science, the technology, and the innovation, to make it possible for us to encourage as many young people to get involved in agriculture as possible. We look at specialization along the value chain. A few years ago, I happened to visit, because I'm interested in aquaculture as well, I happened to visit Norway, which is the largest producer of salmon in the world. And what I realized is the ecosystem they have built along the value chain of fish production allows them to specialize. We have almost 10 villages along the value chain that specializes in one item within the value chain. What does that do? It multiplies the number of jobs created for each of those pieces within the value chain. And therefore, we have to look at agriculture as a way of creating jobs for our young people within the supply chain and the value chain of food production. And then from there, we have to look at it in totality, from training to production, and production means funding to market. When you combine those three, we make it possible for our young people to access funding, to access training, and also to help them with market for the product. And therefore, and that's why I keep on saying food production and agriculture should be the linchpin of economic development for this country and indeed Africa. When we look at it from that perspective, then we exploit the benefits of science, the benefits of technology, the benefits of innovation as an ecosystem to allow agriculture to remain and to continue being the place to go when you need to create jobs and innovation, including value addition in this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. If you're like me, listening to Professor talking about hydroponics and aquaculture and all the other interesting things he's talked about, you will want to interact with him more, interact with Madam Helen further, as well as interact with our guests from the NCPB online. So I'm hoping that you'll also go to the KIPPRA conference hashtag and be able to put your links there so that people can be able to interact with you more. Bwana MC, before we clap for the presenters as well as the panelists, Bwana MC, could you kindly tell us if there are any questions there that you can point out 2 or 3 so that our online, our virtual audience can also be part of us?
Definitely.
I believe I can say something.
Just to remind you, Madam Chair, there was a presenter online on a panel discussion who is feeling a little bit left out.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So as I look at this question, I understand is online ready to give a very brief remark, hopefully not more than 3 minutes. If we can keep it that brief. But quite a number of questions coming in. Daniel Murugu, lack of collaboration amongst agricultural research bodies and institutions of higher learning. What can KEFIS present and propose as a way forward? national silos yards were grabbed. Can Mr. Kimoti give an assurance on food security, specifically on cereal produce? Quite a number of questions Mauricio raising, actually that I read before in regards to matters and malting. Okay, so
can I MC kindly introduce the guests online who's...
Okay, we have a gentleman online ready to give his presentation. Sir, you've been waiting for a while. I meant to understand. Can you keep it brief in less than 3 minutes? Kindly encapsulate what you think about this particular topic on agriculture and STI. Please proceed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Dr. Peter Cheka.
Daktari tafadhali, switch on your camera. That is a kind request. We appreciate the screen saver. It looks very agricultural oriented, and we thank God for that. Okay, so Daktari, activate your camera and proceed. Thank you.
Okay, I'm saying that before then we are also still in agriculture because we are doing soil analysis and then breeding fertilizer based on the soil analysis status. But over the years, we feel that the farmers are not because of a lack of rain, because of lack of space for growing. So I researched on the best way of growing crops. That's why we came up with hydroponics. So our work was to simplify hydroponics to work at African context, because we realized that hydroponics has been there, but it was not adapted by African because of the cost of energy, the cost of irrigation, and also the need of electricity. So we came up with 5 hydroponic systems based on the climate, so we can be able to grow food anywhere, in very hot areas, in very cold areas. We also came up with a system which is based on the crop. We can now be able to grow all the vegetables, tomatoes, including tubers and legumes in our systems. So in terms of water irrigation, we have also reduced in terms of the energy for irrigation, because we realize now if hydroponics is using 80% less water, what about the energy of that irrigation? So our system is designed in such a way that the water stays in the system, and it goes up by capillary. Meaning that you just need to refill that water in that system for after 2.5 weeks. Unlike when you are doing the irrigation, you do it every day, which consumes energy because of the pump. So so far we have been able to do almost 6,800 hydroponic systems. We have also been able to design go up to 20 meters. It's not using energy for irrigation, and it uses 80% less water. So by using science to know how much water the crops needs, how much nutrients it needs, and also innovating in terms of the system that you can use, that's how now our innovation comes in. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. There has been some interference during your presentation, but we have gotten the gist of what you've talked about, the essence of soil analysis as well as hydroponics, and clearly from what you've been able to say, you've been able to register remarkable success. I'm sure that Professor Mwenja will be interested in also being able to talk with you as regards this element. In this session, ladies and gentlemen, we have been able to hear a presentation from Madam Naomi on behalf of the Principal Secretary in the State Department for Crops Development and Agricultural Research. We have heard from Dr. Tiambo from ILRI, so we've been able to delve into the issues of livestock. We've heard from Mr. Onyango on scaling up nutrition, civil society alliance, very interesting innovations there, even in the ill representation. Then we've heard from Dr. Muguti from the Kenya Marine and Fisheries Research Institute, again sensitizing us on the blue economy. We've had our panelists here, Madam Helen from KEFIS. Then we've had Professor Mwenja talking to us about food security with respect to hydroponics. And then we've also had Bwana Kimote from the NCPB, and we've now had Dr. Chonge from Kabarak. Ladies and gentlemen, can we give a wholesome clap to this panel? Because food security is such an important thing for all of us. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right.
And I hand over to the MC.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. We appreciate again, pigeni Madam Chair makofi tafadhali. Amefanya kazi mzuri, especially on the time bit, because our presenters are very passionate, and you know, having a research background, you tend to, you know how to speak and give presentations. So at this particular moment, due to the weather and also due to time, I'd like us to take a short recess. We go for tea, all right? Ndio tutoe baridi. Let us tea off the baridi in 15 minutes. Let's be back here by 11:30. And as we break for tea, kindly, I request a presentation from the Bomas team to do their presentation right now. Remember, questions are being raised online. The hashtag is KIPPRA Conference 2021. So make a point of commenting on that and follow us at KIPPRA Kenya across all social media platforms. And we will appreciate that. The questions that have been raised, some of them could not be responded to in real time due to time constraint, but the people that you have directed the questions to, they are also part of the system, so they can respond to you directly. That is one. And two, if you want to get hold of the presentations, they are also online. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a short recess for tea. We will be back here at 11:30 sharp. We begin the next session on matters housing.